Hello and welcome back to another episode of this week's watches, and this week we have 8 incredible watches for you guys and girls, really varying in age, examples, price range, everything you could possibly imagine, from a Czapek to a Rolex SkyDweller to a vintage Rolex Oyster Quartz. There's really something here for everyone, including some beautiful vintage watches as well. So yeah, this is the kind of drop I want to try and achieve every single week, and it's thanks to you guys and girls that I'm able to do that. Do remember, if you have a watch you want to sell, head over to the website, fill in the sell form on the website. Please include as much detail as possible, because I'm just going to be coming back to you asking for the details I'm asking in that form, so please don't skip it. And I will come back to you either with a purchase price, a consignment figure, or if it's not for us, I'll try and help you on where you're best to try and sell the watch. And as always, if you want to skip to a specific watch you see on the table, the best thing to do is head down to the description. There is a link to every single watch we're showing here today to the website, so you can see extra photos, all the details, the price, and everything like that. There'll also be a timestamp, so you can skip to the specific part of the video where I'm talking about the Vacheron, for example. So nice and easy way to get to what you want to see. And I also want to say a huge thank you, because this week has been absolutely mental, as had the end of last week as well. So I apologise, by the way, if I sound a little bit bunged up. My daughter is bringing all kinds of colds home from nursery. That seems to be what children do. Before having a child, I was ill maybe once or twice a year. Now I feel like I've constantly got a cold or something, so I do apologise, but it's all good. So yeah, you guys and girls have kept me incredibly busy. Like, I've had a lot of people wanting to sell, consign, I bought a lot of watches, and a lot of people chopping in collections to aspire to a bigger piece or whatever it may be, a lot of part exchanges as well. So I have got a huge amount of watches coming soon to the website. So if you follow us over on Instagram at Kibble Watches, you'll be able to see a coming soon highlights reel. I do my best to keep that updated, so you can see what's not yet on the website via that. We also have a broadcast list. If you'd like to become a part of that, WhatsApp or business WhatsApp, which you can find on the website, and send me a message, say you'd like to be part of the broadcast list, and provide me your full name, and I can get you in that list. But be warned, it is a pretty much daily message board where you'll get 10, 15 messages every single day, because I'm getting new stock in. Occasionally I do exclusive offers on there, but usually it's just showing what's coming soon a little bit ahead of Instagram, either by a day or 6 hours. You know, it can be that much. Now, before we crack on with what's on the table, what's on wrist, I'm wearing my trusty 6694 and its original rivet bracelet. This watch is definitely one of my favorites. It's my only Rolex I own, and I've owned a few over the years, and this is the one that I think represents me the best. I think it works with what I wear, and it's a great size at 34mm, and at 19mm I can swap out straps, and I've got quite a few nice leather straps that also look great on it. And I do have a 6694 on the website, earlier than the one I'm wearing, with its original rivet bracelet as well, priced incredibly well, so go check that out if you are interested in adding a 6694 to your personal collection. Now that we have all of that out the way, let's crack on with what you're here to see, and that's the watches. And we're going to start with this incredible Czapek. It's my first Czapek I've had on the website, and I can tell you it will not be the last. I'm incredibly impressed. This is the Czapek Antarctique Passage de Drake Glacier Blue, 38.5mm, and it has the red second hand as well, which is slight deviation to the standard model, which is really nice, and I think it contrasts beautifully with the dial. But let's take a closer look at that one. I am very excited to start this week's episode off with this gorgeous Czapek. As you can see, this is the Antarctique Passage de Drake Glacier Blue, specifically the 38.5mm reference. And as you can see, this model has that striking red second hand, which is a slight difference to the standard model that you can get. I believe it's a request only for the red second hand, but I could be wrong on that. But a really, really great looking watch. And again, a nice pointed difference in my opinion with that second hand. Now, amazingly, this model has been incredibly popular for Czapek and definitely taken them to another level. And for quite a while, there was a large waiting list for these watches, and they were even trading above retail, which is £24,000 at this moment. That isn't the case anymore. They're trading under retail and at a nice discount under retail, with models like this that are slightly worn, slightly pre-owned. To be honest, this has been worn a handful of times at most. The bracelet has never been sized, and it does come with a fitted rubber strap which matches the blue of the dial perfectly, and that strap has been cut to a 7-inch wrist. It was worn on the rubber strap probably a couple of times and never on the bracelet. So this model's from June 2023. It comes with its complete box and paperwork, as I say, with the fitted rubber strap cut for a 7-inch wrist and the bracelet, and it comes with all the parts and bits and bobs that it comes with. So it comes with a screwdriver, it comes with a quick release tool to undo the bracelet and put on the leather strap. Quite an easy system. You place basically the screwdriver head that fits in there nicely, you turn it 180 degrees and it unlocks the bracelet. You take it out, put the strap in, turn it 180 degrees again, and it locks it back in place. Very, very clever system, very nicely done. This features a butterfly clasp, which when closed shows the Czapek logo proudly right there. And then the showstopper, in my opinion, as you have a look at the movement, that is gorgeous with a beautiful micro rotor made of platinum. This is the automatic Czapek caliber SXH 5.01. Beautifully finished and a true work of art. There's very few watches I would say that I'd wear the wrong way round, as in case back up. This is one of them. I would totally wear this the wrong way around to look at that movement. Absolutely magnificent. Screw down crown at 3 o'clock, which is very nice. It's nice for reassurance of just water resistancy in general. But overall, a really beautiful watch. Now, something I've heard when I posted this watch is the constant comments about the Christopher Ward, which is very similar. The Christopher Ward obviously released after the Czapek. Yes, they are similar looking watches, but again, we could say that about everything, right? You know, look at a Rolex Submariner and then look at a Longines Hydro Conquest. There are differences, and those differences are very apparent once you have the watch in hand. Having handled both the Christopher Ward and the Czapek, there is no competition between the two. They're in different leagues and provide very different things. And I absolutely love the Christopher Ward. I think it's a great watch for the money. But this is a different league altogether. Just something I thought I'd mention because I can already see the comments coming in now. And I do have to say, and it was the case on Instagram, I think it was like almost all of the people had not handled the Czapek. So again, how much can you really tell just from a video or a photo? You've got to handle these things, and this is why we have the office here, so you can come and do so. So you can handle these watches, see for yourself, loop the movement, loop the dial, and see those differences. And again, the Christopher Ward's fantastic for the money. But let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, comfortably on my 7-inch wrist, as you can see. Really, really beautiful proportions and super comfortable. And the nice thing is that rubber strap also fits me, so I could totally wear it on that, and it does look great on that as well. We have a photo of it on that strap on the additional photos under points of mention, so you can go see that. But it's 38.5mm by 42mm lug to lug, 10.5mm on the thickness, and 23.5mm at the biggest point of the bracelet, tapering down nicely to the clasp. And obviously it's a fitted lug width, so you won't be able to just swap it out for a generic strap, but there are a couple of options from Czapek. So go check out this beautiful watch on the website today and get yourself a nice saving on retail. Now on to what is Rolex's most complicated watch that they make today. This is the Rolex SkyDweller Black. This is the previous generation, the 326934 on the Oyster bracelet with the white gold fluted bezel and the black dial. A very, very good looking watch, and it wears surprisingly well. It's a big watch. It's one of Rolex's biggest watches in this design, obviously, but it wears really, really well. So let's take a closer look at this one. And now on to Rolex's most complicated watch they have produced, and we're going to start this segment off by giving you a brief rundown of how to use the watch, because it uses a turning bezel feature to get it into different positions to do different things. So let's explain this. When you're all the way over to the very left side, where you can't turn any further clockwise, you're in the neutral position, meaning when you pull out the crown, you can wind the watch as so, but pulling out the crown does absolutely nothing. As you move over to the second position, when it clicks in place, you're now in the date changing position. So as you can hopefully see, let me make sure this is nice and clear, you can see the date over here. As we go forwards or backwards, you can see it changes both directions. And some of you probably noticed the little red marker that has an indentation all the way across. That is the month. So this watch is day and month. You can see 12 right there, which indicates December. So let's go into January, which we are in. So as we go around past 31, it will go, as you can see, into January. So now let's set it to the 12th. That's how you change the date and the month. Now, as we go all the way over to the right, and you might be going, you're skipping a position because there's 4 positions altogether. We're going to go past this position into the very far right position. This position allows you to change the time and the GMT, the local time. So you can see both hands change. What you want to do, if you were tracking a second time zone, you'd set this first, let's say 12 o'clock, like so. So that's now set to 12 o'clock on the local time zone. You will go back a position as such, click back, and now this position allows you just to move the hour hand, as you can see. So that sets your local time. Hopefully that all made sense. It can be a little bit complicated, so I do apologize if this was overly so for you. There are many great examples out there on how to do this, and what I would say is just having a little play around, you get used to it. One thing to always do once you've changed everything is go back to the neutral position, so that way it does nothing when you pull out the crown. Hopefully that makes sense, but as I say, many great videos probably explain it better than I did. Now let's get on to the actual watch. So this is the earlier generation, not the latest generation, Rolex SkyDweller. This is the reference 326934, and this one's from September 2020 with its box and paperwork and extended warranty with Watchfinder. With Watches of Switzerland, excuse my slip of the tongue there. This watch is on its Oyster bracelet with its clasp, as you can see, plain case back as you'd expect, and inside is the automatic Rolex caliber 9001. White gold fluted bezel, cyclops over the date, and screw down crown, and as we went through all the functions of the bezel. Now this watch has been worn, it has never been polished, so we can have it polished for you on request. So if you'd like that done, let us know. It obviously will come at an additional cost and time frame to delivery or collection, so let us know in advance if that is what you want doing. But as I always say, buy a watch, get it, see what you think first, because often photos can make things look worse than they actually are in person. And to be honest, this is just general wear that you'd probably get to within, a couple of weeks of everyday wear. If you're not particularly that careful with your watches, just a usual wearer. Hopefully that makes sense. Now let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. If you are a fan of the Datejust but want something a bit bigger and more complicated, this is the watch. This is 42mm by 50mm lug to lug, 14mm on the thickness and 22mm at the lugs, so definitely no small watch, and it does wear big, but it wears incredibly well considering those dimensions, and that's probably no surprise thanks to the Oyster case and just how well that all works. And I really like the black dial on this. It makes it less flashy, even though you've still got that very bright fluted bezel. So yeah, go check this one out on the website today. From that Rolex to a Rolex that a lot of people have never heard of or don't realize exists, this is the Rolex Oyster Quartz Datejust in steel and gold, 36mm 17013, probably one of the best priced out there on the market today. It's not the best example in the world you'll find, but it's a nice honest one that you can wear and enjoy. So let's take a closer look at this. Now for a two-tone Rolex Oyster Quartz Datejust, this is obviously 36mm, and this one's from circa 1980, the reference 17013. If you're after a quartz Rolex with an integrated bracelet, this is your only option. I find it really cool that they even made these in the first place. And they weren't incredibly popular at the time because a lot of people didn't want to spend that kind of money on a quartz Rolex. They wanted a mechanical Rolex. So it didn't actually perform that well, which I find fascinating. And these watches are incredibly collectible in very good conditions, complete sets and everything like that. So when one comes up like this, which is watch only, it has been worn and polished and it's been used and loved over the years, but still very, very good and very wearable, it means they're incredibly well priced. And this is exactly that option for you. So original tritium dial, original tritium hands, just very attractive, nice two-tone with the gold, as you can see, which is brushed on the bracelet. Polished fluted bezel, screw down crown at 3 o'clock, and plain case back as you'd expect as we flip it open. The interesting thing about these, because you don't have removable, well, you do have removable lugs, but there's no space for it. All the references and serials are actually on the case back in the bracelet, which is quite interesting. Inside is a quartz Rolex caliber 5035, a very reliable and overly complicated quartz watch for the time. It wasn't like what the Japanese were doing at the same sort of period. So again, a higher level, which wasn't necessarily required, and obviously added cost and complication. So yeah, just really, really cool. Over-engineered, I guess you'd call it. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. I really like how these models wear. So whilst it wears very similar to a 36mm Datejust, they wear bigger in my opinion. And this bracelet, the way it comes off the watch, again, adds some heft. And I find these to be quite a lot heavier than their similar counterparts from the Datejust family. in automatic because of just the overall thickness of the bracelet, the thickness of the watch. Everything adds some heft. So this is 36mm by 42mm lug to lug, 13mm on the thickness, and 23.5mm at the top of the clasp, tapering nicely down to the top of the bracelet, tapering nicely to the clasp. And as you can see, those links look very, very cool, and it's just a good looking watch. So go check this one out on the website today. From there to my favourite watch on the table, will probably come as no surprise. That's this gorgeous 1960 Vacheron Constantin Patrimony 18 karat pink gold. Yes, you heard that right, pink gold with an 18 karat pink gold buckle. This is gorgeous, and I'm so excited to bring this to you guys and girls, and I wouldn't be surprised if it sells incredibly quickly. So let's take a closer look at this one. So here we go. As I said, a favourite for me from this week's drop. This is a gorgeous Vacheron Constantin Patrimony in 18 karat pink gold or rose gold, whatever you want to call it, from circa 1960. It's a reference 317792 in 33.5mm. It wears bigger than that. It's more like a 34, and obviously it's pretty much all dial, so again that helps with wearability. And I would argue for this kind of style of watch from this era, this is the size it should be. Very reminiscent of early Patek Calatravas, and I would say built to the same standard. The cases are incredibly elegant, beautifully finished. As you can see, nice clip-on case back, and beating away inside there, which we have movements under the additional photos on the website, is a manually wound Vacheron Constantin caliber P453/3B, an absolutely exquisite movement that should totally be on display. But again, it just goes to show this sort of time period of movements. Now when a brand makes a movement, even if it's not particularly that beautiful, they will put it on display to show off. Whereas back in the day, these movements, I would argue, are better finished than most modern watches today, and yet it was completely covered. Most people who own these watches never would have seen that movement. That would have just been for the watchmakers. It's an attention to detail and craft that we just don't really have today, and if we do, it's on display so you can see it, the consumer. And I just find it fascinating that that was not known to the owners of these watches. Obviously, they were probably aware that they are wearing something incredibly well made, but to what degree did they know, and did they ever see? I just find that really fascinating personally. Let me know down in the comments if you find that equally fascinating. So this watch, you can see you have the Arabic numerals and battens, which are applied and just shimmer in the lights and contrast beautifully against that nice white cream dial. Sub-seconds down at 6 o'clock, and elongated sword hands as well, which are absolutely beautiful. Nice 18 karat gold, rose gold crown. And as I said, it comes with an 18 karat rose gold buckle as well, with all the relevant hallmarks. A beautiful, beautiful buckle, watch and set. Now, it doesn't come with any box of paperwork, which shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone out there, and it's running absolutely beautifully. So let's show this on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, on my 7-inch wrist, you can see this watch just looks at home at this kind of proportion and size, in my opinion. 33.5mm by 40mm lug to lug, only 9mm on the thickness, which is incredibly thin, and 19mm on the lug, so a little awkward, but there are plenty of options out there. And this strap we have it paired on is an older strap, but still very wearable, very beautiful, and works with the overall design of the watch. But I would say if you're buying this watch, get a custom strap made, either with Strap Tailor or someone else you like, and just enjoy it. Have a few straps, you know, a few options. Absolutely beautiful. Go check it out on the website today. From that to the most affordable watch on the table, that's this very cool vintage Lanco Fon alarm with the fancy case in the larger 36mm. Really, really cool piece, and I think this is definitely going to be something a lot of you guys and girls really, really draw to. So let's take a closer look at this one. Now on to this very, very cool 1960s Lanco Fon alarm, as you can see. Very attractive little thing. 36.5mm, it's actually on the larger size really for this period. And I've called it a fancy case because that chrome case has this really cool angular lugs and sort of profile that just looks really, really cool. Really nice dial, and as you can see, you've got a red running seconds, a blue tip alarm hand, and a little hole in the dial right there, which as you can see is completely empty, and as we wind the watch forward, it goes red. So let's talk you through how to use this watch. It will be very brief, but essentially in the neutral position, which it is in right now, winding backwards to what you would usually do, this way winds the watch, so that's what winds the mainspring for the watch until you get to the point of resistance like so, and winding forward enables the alarm, which goes red, and to disable it you just wind backwards like so until it goes off, as you can see. But winding forward winds the alarm and enables the alarm. To set the alarm, you pull the crown out one click as like a date, and then you wind 6 o'clock, and to change the time you pull out all the way and wind 12 o'clock, or the opposite way. You'll get the feel for it when you have a play around with it. When the red is highlighted, the alarm will trigger. So let's go to where the alarm is, and you'll hear that beat away in a second. There you go. So you can hear very loud, very nice alarm, and it lasts for quite a while. To disable it, you just either let it run out like so, and then you'd have to wind the alarm again, or you just wind the crown backwards to disable the alarm like such. And let's move the hands back to their normal position so I can show you everything else. Now, you can only wind the hands one way, you can't go the other way to wind the hands, so just keep that in mind. So go around slowly when you get close to where you need to be, and then put in the crown gently so obviously the hands don't move when you're pushing in. Hopefully that's all self-explanatory. There's a couple of things online showing how to use it if you forget, or if this video doesn't make any sense. Hopefully it does. But yeah, there you go. You can see nice plain case back as well. Really nice condition overall. And inside is a manually wound Lanco caliber 1241, and as I said, circa 1960s. We paired it on this nice red strap, which I think really suits the watch and contrasts nicely with the red second hand. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. As you can see, very gorgeous, attractive little thing. This is 36.5mm by 45.5mm lug to lug, 12mm on the thickness, and 18mm on the lug. So endless options if you're not a fan of this strap pairing. But I think it really works. So go check out this one on the website today. From there over to an Amiga Seamaster 300 Quartz 41mm, and this is the, well, it's often nicknamed the Pierce Brosnan or the James Bond, a very, very cool one. And this one actually has a faded blue bezel, which I am a huge fan of personally. I think it really looks good with the overall design, and I just like how these aluminium bezels fade over time. Now, if you're not a fan of that, I do actually have a non-faded version also coming soon to the website, so get in touch if you want to know about that one. But let's take a closer look. So Amiga Seamaster Quartz 41mm blue dial, blue bezel model, often nicknamed the Pierce Brosnan or the James Bond 007, so many nicknames for this, but it's the reference 2541.80.00, and as you can see, it features that very finely textured wave dial, which I'm a huge fan of. The new wave dial is attractive, but I think the older wave dial is nicer, it's more subtle. Really, really nice. And the bezel on this one, as you can see, is faded from this blue to a very light blue, ghosty grey colour. Very, very attractive, and I think suits the overall design of the watch. Date over at 3 o'clock and the iconic Seamaster hands, and a helium escape valve over there at 10 o'clock. Obviously the nice curved case, and the complicated bracelet, as some people call it, with all the brushed and polished parts. Very, very nice. And the push button clasp with the dive extension, which is nice and solid and tucks away nicely when you push it down like so. Nice engraved case back, again as you'd expect, and inside there is the Quartz Amiga caliber 1538, and this one's from circa 1998 with its box and booklets. No original paperwork, unfortunately, and the condition is fantastic, I would say, for its age. Obviously this could make a great birth year for someone 1 year younger than myself. Really great watch, great prices, and I just think really, really cool. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, paired on my 7-inch wrist. Very comfortable and very good looking. Even at the larger size, I do really like the 36mm Seamasters. I think they're very good looking as well. But to be honest, the 41, very comfortable. So this is 41mm by 47mm lug to lug, only 11mm on the thickness and 20mm on the lug. So endless options for swapping this out. I do really like these on a blue suede strap as well. I'm a sucker for that, as well as the bracelet. So go check it out on the website today. From there over to a hand heart. This is probably one of my favorite hand hearts that they produce, and it's in the perfect size as well. So this is the hand heart Pioneer 417 ES 1954 chronograph. So let's take a closer look at this. So now hand heart Pioneer time. This is the 417 ES 1954 chronograph with the sapphire crystal and the 39mm case size, which I find to be perfect. Inside manually wound Sellita caliber SW510M, which is a very nice reliable movement, start, stop and reset as you'd expect. And the hand heart has that iconic thick chronograph second hand, which almost looks like another hand in general. It's like the thickness of some minute hands on watches. Running seconds over at 9 o'clock, 30 minutes totalizer on 3 o'clock. And the bezel does move, so some people, sometimes when I've had these before, have gone, oh, it doesn't look like that red pip is aligned. It's a friction fit bezel, meaning you can move it to exactly where you want it to be, and sometimes with angles of photography, it's bang on 12, but the angle makes it look like it isn't. You can adjust it to be bang on 12, don't worry. Signed crown at 3 o'clock, and a nice case back hidden away underneath the bund part of the strap, which, by the way, if you're not a fan of bund straps, don't worry, you just take it off. Take off the strap, take off the bund, and then you've just got this nice soft black leather strap, which I personally prefer than the bund, but some people really like the bund. So this is the H701.210-7010, and it's from December 2023, so it's only just over a month old. Hardly been worn, to be honest, so ready to be enjoyed and actually worn properly, and a nice discount on retail as well. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist with the bund. As I say, personally I'll take the bund off and then just wear it with the 2-piece. This is a medium length strap. Hand Heart have different strap options, so if you need longer you can buy longer, but this is a medium which fits my 7-inch wrist nicely with spare holes either way, so I think this would fit most people unless you've got a ginormous wrist or a super tiny wrist. So this is 39mm by 45.5mm lug to lug, 13mm on the thickness, that's not including the bund obviously, which does add thickness, and 20mm on the lugs. So endless options for swapping this out in general. If you wanted to put on like a brown suede, which I put on everything, you could do so. So go check out this one on the website today. And last but by no means least, we're going to have a look at the NOMOS. This is the NOMOS Club Neomatic Atlantic Blue in 37mm, a really great watch, priced incredibly well because unfortunately the box and papers are missing from a house move, and if they become available they will be provided at no extra cost, but it's priced as a watch only example, and don't bet on the fact we will find the box and papers. They're probably gone forever, unfortunately. But if they do come up, you will get them. So let's take a closer look at this. Now on to NOMOS, and I haven't had a NOMOS in a little while, and this is the NOMOS Club Neomatic Atlantic Blue, which is a very nice dark blue colour, which has the contrasting orange second hand in the sub-seconds and the baby blue highlights of the numbers around the outside. The contrast works beautifully, and I've always been a big fan of NOMOS. I do say if you are used to wearing 40mm watches, go with a size down with NOMOS because they have incredibly long lug to lug. So for example, this is a 37mm, and some people may still find it a little long on the lug to lug, which is 48.5mm. So we'll show it on wrist later, but I would say this is a nice size for most people, even if you think you like bigger watches. If you're a 41mm guy, try this one. I think this would fit you nicely. So this is the reference 741. As we flip it over, you're presented with a nice exhibition case back showing a automatic NOMOS caliber DUW 3001, and this model's from circa 2019. It does come with its nylon 2-piece strap with its NOMOS sign buckle, and the strap has had extra holes punched in it by the previous owner to fit because these straps are incredibly long in general. I do find that with NOMOS straps myself, and on a 7-inch I'm towards one of these closer holes myself, so that gives you a rough idea. Personally, I'll be swapping out the strap anyway. If I own this, I'd be probably wearing it on a nice leather, but either way it comes with the strap. Now, as I mentioned, the box and paperwork was missing during a move, so it doesn't come with it, and it's priced as such, but if that box and paperwork ever appears, they could be in a box somewhere with the person who's moved. I'm still in contact with that person, so if they do appear, he will send them over to me and I will send them over to the new owner. But again, buy it on the basis it's watch only, and it will remain watch only, and it will just be look if all of a sudden they appear, but you will get them obviously free of charge. Let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Definitely a nice blue leather strap would look amazing on this in my opinion. This is 37mm by 48.5mm lug to lug. Hopefully you can see that, the case size is really nice, but the lug to lug is quite long, so do keep that in mind. 9mm on the thickness and 18mm on the lug, so endless options for swapping this one out. But yeah, go check it out on the website today and pick up an absolute bargain. So there you have it, guys and girls. This week's selection of 8 incredible watches. There will probably be 10 in next week's episode. Again, as I said before, I'm trying to keep it under that 12 threshold each week. Ideally, no more than 10. I think 10 is a good number. If I can do 8, it's even better. But 10, I think at most is what I'm going to do. So next week there'll probably be 10, and there's probably going to be 10 for many weeks after that, just because of how many watches I'm getting in at the moment. So thank you all very much for that. And let me know down in the comments, what's your favourite watch from this week's drop? Mine has to be that Vacheron, and I think close second would probably be the Czapek, to be honest. I think it's really, really cool. So let's, well, we'll see you all again next week. I was going to say, let's take a closer look, but we've already done all that. So we'll see you all again next week. Have a great week and take care.